We are live and we're going to talk about bank run. What is a bank run? Why is it happening and why now? Coming up after the intro.
Hey, hey, it's all about wealth. It's all about wealth engineering. Might be something that you're not used to. It's okay, cause we're here to introduce you to concepts to grow and make big moves. All about crypto, companies, stocks and business. Yes, indeed. Got the info that you need. Hosted by my homie JC. Hey, wealth engineering, stacking it up. It's time to generate wealth. Living like screws me up. Wealth engineering. It's time to show you the game. Living like rich, ballin' like Bruce Wayne. You ain't gotta be an expert, no problem. We don't really start. Just take time, hard work, and
What's up, guys? This is JC, and welcome to the Wealth Engineering Podcast. I create content so that I can motivate you on increasing your net worth, retire early, and build generational wealth. And how do we do that? By investing in stocks, crypto, real estate, and business, right? So, it's all about learning, keeping, and multiplying money. And if these are things that are interesting you, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell. Sorry, guys, I had this emergency stream going on because we are living in some weird times in Canada right now. Shout out to you, Wally. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here early. Exactly, Mr. Cashflow Hunter. Exactly. This is what we're going to be talking about tonight. There is some financial war happening, and you need to understand the dynamics of this war. How did it start? How did we get here? And what could happen down the line? We're gonna be talking about all that today, right? All that today, starting with the bank run and go from there. Hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Afro Mix family, thank you for being here. And again, usually I don't go live on Thursdays, but there are some weird times happening, so I had to go live and connect with you guys and keep you updated on what's going on in Canada, because what is happening right now in Canada is will be the standard for the Western societies. All right, this is the blueprint. Actually, China is the blueprint. Right now, it's being implemented in Canada, but the U.S. is not far from us. And trust me when I say this. Some people in the government are watching very carefully what's going on because they're taking some ideas. Think of states like California, for example. They were very liberal in a way, and sometimes when you are too liberal, you might want to impose things on people, even if they don't like, for example, the lockdown. You can see the states that were very aggressive on the lockdown. They were just acting the same way that Canada is acting right now. And it just shows you where it could go on the extreme. We're going to be diving deep into it. Sorry, guys, I went a little bit later than I anticipated, but I wanted to get ready and pull all the articles and charts that I can show you guys to explain you this concept of what's going on here. So that's why I was slightly late, but we are here, and thank you again. I'm doing fine. Hope you are fine as well, Afro-Mix family. How are you doing, Sophia Sharif? Thank you for being here. Salute to you, and thank you for your support. All right, guys. So I'm going to try to keep this stream relatively short, but I want to make sure I cover everything that I plan on discussing. And first, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. We're going to talk about what government doesn't want you to know, right? Especially the media, especially the banks, right? What they don't want you to know. And it seems that people are awake. People are understanding what's going on, and they try to retaliate back by doing a bank run in Canada. And we're going to be talking about all that. So, in a nutshell, what is a bank run? A bank run is simply basically people are running to the banks at the same time trying to get their money out. Now, there are many reasons why they would want to do that, but in this case specifically, I'm going to walk you through the timeline of events so that you can understand where we are right now. Right. So, for those who don't know, in Canada, Canada has been very aggressive when it comes. Thank you very much, Norris. Yes, salute. Yes, Canada has been very aggressive when it comes to mandates, right? We're talking about the job mandate. I'm not even allowed to say it on YouTube, the word, because the algorithm will be all over the place. So the job bandit, they were very aggressive. So we have been going through many lockdowns that are shutting down businesses. Now imagine having to pay rent on your business, very expensive rent, and then you're not getting your customers, your clients cannot even find you because hey, they're not allowed to go out at a certain times, right? We had that happen many times in Canada in the last 2 years, where after 10, you're not allowed to be outside on the streets. If you get caught, you could get a $5,000 ticket. Like so, it's very expensive. It's not encouraging anyone to go out. You cannot go to any nightclubs, to any bars, to any gym. So people could not have fun. The depression rates in teenagers, in young adults were rising, but you don't hear anything about that on the media. But trust me when I say this, it was rising. And if you're in the school, if you're working in school, you know exactly what's going on. Just imagine all the fun you had in the last year of your school, right? Like the balls, the ballroom, like all these events, and then all that were robbed for 2 years from people that were in school. So they had to find their own ways of doing it. At least they had some breaks in the summer, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. And many students spending their entire year looking for this day, their graduation day, and they couldn't celebrate it the way they do it. On top of that, going to school was only online. Many people were just playing games and going to course virtually. That's the virtual world. Just dump into this new world. They're not adjusted to understand what's going on. So the lockdown has been affecting us worldwide, but especially in Canada, and is very severely. On top of that, we don't really have many months where we can actually go out and have fun, right? Only the summer, and honestly, the summer is barely 3 months, all right? And then on top of that, we have the fall where, it's still a little bit cold. People can still go out a bit. For the most part, they try to. But in the fall, that's when we start getting the lockdown again, right? So really, it's mostly the summer that people really had time to go out. And then when you spend so much time locked down in a house, in the cold, in the winter, in the fall, not doing anything, not going to the gym, not partying with your friends, it really build up this level of frustration. And for the most part, people in Canada are very nice, all right? They are very nice. They don't like confrontation. They're again they're not the type of people that will say no. So to drive them to the point where they would start actually a freedom convoy and support that, that is big. You can understand the anticipation. Now, before I move any further, let me give a salute to Sophia Sharif. Thank you for the knowledge. Thank you very much. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And the sponsor of this train for today. And thank you very much for this. All right. So basically, what happened is again, we had another lockdown. The cases were rising a lot, November, December. So they were being more aggressive, right? And now, even the truckers that were working from the States to Canada, traveling, transporting goods and certain goods and products to Canada and States, they were going to be mandated so that they can at least show proof of the job before they can cross the border to Canada. Now, a lot of them say, hey, what's the point? We're just living in our trucks. No one is seeing us. We don't need a job. We don't need a proof for that. We don't need that to be efficient on our job. Why do we have to have it to cross the border? So they decided not to do it. And from that point, they actually rally and talk to each other and started what they call the Freedom Convoy, right? Now, the Freedom Convoy was actually a good idea. It's still a good idea. And they started from the west side of the city, right? Actually, the country, all the way to Vancouver. So, completely from the west. And then you had a group of truckers um, going to city, from city to city, all the way to the east side of the country where the capital is. The capital of Canada is Ottawa, and that's where they were going. So they they're traveling from city to city, and every time they're stopping on a city, they're getting more trucks, more trucks, more trucks, more trucks. By the time they got to the capital, they had this massive convoy of trucks and display of everyone that was supporting them. It was going viral 3 weeks ago, and the world was inspired by this. including Elon Musk, that made several tweets about that, saying that, hey, if people, and just keep in mind, guys, um, 3 weeks ago, it was super cold, frigid cold. Like you could piece outside, and by the time the pee hit the floor, it will be frozen. This is how cold it was 3 weeks ago. For them to start a convoy and stay outside of their trucks and in front of Parliament in this temperature shows you how frustrated they are. But despite their frustration, they kept it peaceful. There was no looting. They actually cleaned the streets. There are a video of them doing that. You could even go on YouTube and watch live streams on what's going on the convoy. And for the most part, it is peaceful, right? But then the demands were not met. Uh, the prime minister left parliament for 2 weeks, afraid for his security, saying that it's only a small minority of Canadians. They don't represent everyone. And so basically infuriate them even more. So now they actually took measures and start blocking the border. Basically, they're like, hey, let's start blocking the border. And then that was happening last week. And then now government is like, okay, this is getting too far. We're going to have to take other measurements. And then one of the measurements they decide to take was the Emergency Act. All right. So let me walk you through what is the Emergency Act. So I'm going to play a video from the deputy prime minister and also the minister of finance of Canada. And this is what she had to say about the situation. So it's only a 43 seconds video. So let's check it out.
Relationships with anyone involved in the illegal blockades and report to the RCMP or CSIS. As of today, a bank or other financial service provider will be able to immediately freeze or suspend an account without a court order.
So that right there, this is some extreme measures right here because, and before we get into that, you'll understand how we got to this point. But just to give you an idea, last week, this is what was being discussed and it was implemented like very fast. Usually politicians are slow in implementing things, but this was implemented fast, right? So, and I think as you heard it, as of today, there was no warning. They just jumped straight to that, and now they can go and freeze any bank accounts, any financial services from people they deem would be part of technically money laundering laws and terrorist laws, but they're broadening the scope to include even the protesters, which is technically a direct blow when it comes to democracy, right? Democracy is all about you have the right to protest. I'm electing you as elected officials to represent the population, the majority of the population. And if they don't agree with you, they have the right to tell you, hey, remember why we put you there. And but hey, it seems that there is a timeline to how long you are allowed to protest, and Canadians government are taking extreme measures to that. So let's play it all and see what he has to say.
In doing so, they will be protected against civil liability for actions taken in good faith. Mm-hmm. Federal government institutions will have a new broad authority to share relevant information with banks and other financial service providers to ensure their relationship.
Anyway, so that's basically what she had to say. As you can see, they're saying that although she's saying it with a nice voice, but it's not really a nice thing to say for your freedom, because your freedom is going to take a beating, right? And but how did we get there? How did we get there? Now, remember I told you guys 3 weeks ago the convoy started. The convoy started 3 weeks ago, and basically what happened is, let me see if I can find you this article. Actually, let me go find it for you. But yes, guys, the convoy started 3 weeks ago. All right, and people were donating a lot of money. They were donating a lot of money, then wanting to support them as much as possible. Okay, and as they're supporting the convoy, they're showing their proof, because remember, guys, there was actually something I was listening to that almost made me cry, guys. people were just pouring out their heart, saying that thank you to truckers for doing what you're doing, supporting our freedom. And one of them, they even had kids calling, and you had their, it's like very young kids. They were like 4, 5, 7 years old, saying that, hey, we just want to go back to school. We miss our friends. Thank you to truckers for fighting for our freedom. It's just like, it just shows you how it's really affecting everyone in this society here. And people really appreciate what the truckers are doing, because it takes a lot of courage, and no one was making any move to make this going on, to make these moves happen. All right, so let me just find what I was trying to search for you guys. So one way they were trying to do that is by funding, and there is a popular platform that people use for funders. It's called GoFundMe. You probably heard of it. Anyone who wants to run like any foundation or something like that, they can start a GoFundMe page, and it's kind of like this crowdfunding platform that allows you to uh, market whatever you want to do, collect money if people believe in what you're doing, and then yes, and technically that's exactly what GoFundMe started for. It's to be used for something like the truckers, and then the population can fund them as a support, and also they can use that money to rally their troops to make sure that the message are heard, etc. Right. So now let me show you this article right here. Um, well, GoFundMe seized funds of Canadians' occupation, and these funds were allocated to the Freedom Convoy. And basically, what GoFundMe said is, "Hey, based on what they're saying, they're not giving us a detailed plan on what they want to do with this money. So because of that, we're going to withhold $1 million raised for Canadian truckers protest against the job." And there the media started promoting that there was violence because of the convoy, but that is not true. And many people came out to say, hey, this is really not true. But a lot of money was raised in a very short amount of time. Like donation to the GoFundMe page Freedom had reached like $10 million. All right, so $10 million Canadian, which is basically maybe $7 million US, or let's say $5.8 million in euros, million euros. But basically, $10 million Canadians very fast, and they withhold all that, and they actually refunded all the donors who gave their money, as a way to say, hey, the truckers, you're not going to get that money from our platform. We don't support it, blah blah blah. But it could also be, some say, this is allegedly, but some say it could also be the government having their say, enforcing the hand of GoFundMe to say that, hey, we don't want them to get their money back, so that they can be more strong, they can last longer in front of our parliament, right? And then after that, the police started going on the streets, seizing their gas, right? Because they're keeping their trucks on as a way to heat themselves, right? This is the heater. They're running the heater on the truck, and that's how they're keeping themselves warm. Because the last 3 weeks, guys, they have been in front of Parliament, lining up the trucks, honking every day, right? Not leaving until their conditions are met. So they are very dedicated. And some of them came with food, saying that we're ready to last at least 1 month. And if that funding came through, they would have food to last at least 3, 4 months. So imagine, and a lot of trucks, guys. So but they're just here fighting, right? And so one way the police wanted to kind of like slow them down is by taking their gas away, saying that, hey, you're not allowed to bring this gas here in public property, etc. On top of that, as of yesterday, they were serving letters saying that, hey, you're not allowed to stay in the streets anymore, go back home. But no one wants to listen. They're dead set in their ways. And then you have this emergency act came through, saying that now we are legally can take all the assets, financial assets you have, including cryptocurrencies. Because that's the other thing. After the GoFundMe scenario happened, they switched back to cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin specifically, and there was a honk auto Bitcoin wallet that was circulating online where you could actually donate to the cause, and in a very short amount of time, it had already raised $1 million Canadians, about 20 BTC, which is actually $1 million US Canadian, US, sorry. And yes, this is what's going on, guys. They have raised $1 million very fast on Bitcoin, and now, guys, now, um, this is fresh news. Yesterday, just yesterday, this happened. Now they're actually applying the Emergency Act for real. It's not just saying it anymore; it's applying it. Now, the RCMP, it's kind of like the FBI version of Canada. All right, saying the RCMP asked crypto exchanges to halt trading for wallet connected to the truck convoy protest. So basically, they actually found which wallet, because of the blockchain, everyone can see everything what's going on. So the RCMP located which wallet belonged to the Freedom Convoy, and then saying that, hey, any trade happening from that wallet, block it, don't let it happen. And that's what they're asking, guys. That's what they're asking, under the name of this could be basically money laundering, terrorism, etc. So they are going all in to stop you from to get your cryptocurrencies, but only for the protest, right? But I want you to keep that in mind, because that's how it starts. It starts with, hey, we're only going after the protesters, but once these laws are active, then they don't normally walk them back. And later it will be, hey, if you don't take the job, we're going to go after your crypto wallet or your financial wallets, etc. Right? So considering that we have 2 years of history of how aggressive the government was when it comes to mandate, that's why people are worried about what's going on right now. All right. So first, the Emergency Act became law, right? Then the government is basically saying anyone who's supporting or participating, they will have consequence because of this law, right? Now you have RCMP yesterday, just yesterday, guys, saying that, hey, let's stop all crypto exchanges connected to the wallet, which was the backup wallet from what's going on. All right. So when people saw that, then they're like, you know what? Government is really going after everything we have here. We don't know what's going on. And many people was started to go after a bank run. And that's where the stream comes in. Bank run. They started to go in the banks and pull out the cash. Let me show you what is the official definition of a bank run, because even from that, there is many things we can learn from this. All right. So let me see. I just sent a follow request. Oh, sorry guys, I'm doing a bad job in the chat. Let me go very quickly. Let me see. Messing was someone's livelihood should remain against the law. This is simply crazy. Yeah, it's it's getting crazy out here very fast, very fast. All right. Let me see how you're doing, Lashes. Shout out to you. Hope you're still here. Thank you very much. Yes, I just sent you a follow request. I'm not sure where. If it's Discord, I'll accept it later. All right. Okay. So let me see. So, yes, let's go through the definition here. A bank run occurs when a large number of customers of a bank or other financial institution withdraw their deposits simultaneously. I can't say that word very well, but simultaneously over concerns of the bank solvency. All right, we're going to get into that. As more people withdraw their fund, the probability default increase. The probability of default. Now, what do you mean default, right? If I put $100 in the bank, shouldn't I be able to remove $100 back? Why would the bank be defaulting of this? Prompting more people to withdraw their deposit. In extreme case, the bank's reserve may not be sufficient to cover the withdrawal. Interesting, right? So if you put your money in the bank, it doesn't mean that the bank will have the possibility to actually return that money to you. And if they try to do that, they could go default, right? That's basically what they're trying to tell you here. And you can read between the lines, but we're going to read between the lines at the end of the stream. as I go through all the timeline to understand what's going on. All right. But I wanted to go over the word solvency right here. So, solvency. Solvency is the ability of a company to meet its long term debt and financial obligation, right? Solvency can be an important measure of a financial health since it's one way demonstrating company's ability to manage its operation or into a foreseeable future. Now, the most important things I want you to guys to remember from this is financial obligation, right? Now, remember we're talking about bank run. And we talked about earlier about the probability of default increasing if a bankrupt happens, which means people are taking their money away from the bank, the same money that they put in to the bank. Let's say you work, you get a paycheck, your money get deposited automatically in your bank account. If you go and remove that money, and many people do it at the same time, it could increase the probability of default, which in turns the financial obligations of the bank to give you that money cannot be met. I don't know if you guys understand what's going on here. You put the money in the bank, but if everyone takes their money from the bank, then the banks cannot meet their obligations. They're obligated to give you that money back, but somehow they can't do it. Shout out to Clyde. Do something. How are you doing? Thank you very much for being here. And I was actually checking his content yesterday as I was doing more research on this project. And shout out to him because he's also a Canadian fellow, just like me, supporting the cause and putting a lot of content here to keep people updated. So if you want to support the cause in any way, give him a like. Tell him Wealth Engineering sent you. But shout out to you, and I check out your IG if you want to join on the panel too. You're welcome as well, and we can have this conversation going on because there is a lot to discuss here. All right, so guys, going back to this word right here, solvency. All right, the bank doesn't necessarily have the bank doesn't necessarily can meet their obligation if there is a bank run. All right. Now, but why would there be a bank run? Well, it's because people are seeing the Emergency Act. They're also seeing the RCMP actually acting on it. Then they're like, you know what? If I can even have my money in crypto without it being seized, if I can have it on a bank without it being seized because the Emergency Act can attack the bank too, let me actually take all my money just in case because cash is better in that point, and more people are thinking that way. And of course some people are smart and they figure out what's going on too, and they're like, you know what, I want to actually hurt the bank where it's hurt the most. So there is some of that too going on. And when all of the people are taking their money uh, together, then it creates a bank run, and we're going to go dive deeper into it later. Now let me go very quickly on the chat, no worries. Hey, what do you know a mechanic, an engineer getting along? A mechanic and an engineer getting along now. Hey, no worries, man. No worries. Yes, I have a background in electrical engineering, and yes, we can always get along, man. Especially if we're working towards the same cause, which is informing people about what's going on. Because we cannot really rely on the media, guys. The media won't really tell you what's going on, and they won't really tell you about the bank run, right? They don't want to encourage you to do the same. Because again, if they do the same, it increases the probability of a bank to default on their obligations, right? We're going to dive deeper into it, guys, tonight. We're going to dive deeper. All right. So I wanted to read you this tweet right here. Right. So this tweet came from Kobayashi, saying that, hey, bank outage in all big five cannot banks, basically Canadian banks. All right. Trudeau, which is our prime minister, has crushed consumers' confidence in the bank in less than 48 hours. Some ATMs are still allowing cash to be pulled out, but going empty, right? Now, because of the bank run, people are going straight to their ATMs, pulling out maybe $1,000, $2,000, their emergency fund, right? And then everyone is doing that. Now, the bank are now locked. Like, this was happening earlier today, guys. Later yesterday, the bank are now locked. Uh, the bank has now locked up everyone's fund due to a massive run on the banks. And guys, it's like we're talking about serious banks here, big banks, Scotia banks outage reported in the last 24 hours. Floosh. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers going up like crazy. Scotia Banks, the RBC, one of the big banks of Canada right now. Look at this. No outage at all. All of a sudden, sloosh. Crazy number, crazy. And BMO, a very old bank, probably the first bank, the first Canadian bank. Last 24 hours, many outage. The last hours was going nuts. And then there is also another bank, my current bank right now, TD Canada Bank, same thing. And this is a one big bank as well. I would say probably the bigger banks of Canada would be RBC and TD, right? And it's the same TD that you can refer to in the States as Ameritrade or TD Ameritrade. It's kind of like the same group in a way, right? But guys, that's what's going on right now, guys. A lot of outage. And why is the banks, all five banks, have outage where they lock up your funds? Why do they do that, guys? Is it coincidence that they do it? Eh, let me let me look at you in the eyes as I say this, guys. Is it coincidence that randomly at the same time all the banks are locking up your fund? No, it is not. Why? Because if the bank run goes through, they will realize that they do not have enough cash in the bank to meet the obligation, the financial obligation of giving you back the cash. So instead, they would much rather say, you know what, we're having technical difficulties. Our website doesn't work. Our ATM is just low on cash, but your money is still there in the vault. Don't worry about it. We'll give it to you. We'll give it to you. Right? But should they be having this problem? No, because if you put $100, the bank is supposed to hold $100, right? So if everyone takes their $100, the bank has no money. Fine, fine. Why would that? Why would that? Why would they be defaulting? Well, maybe because the bank is allowed to borrow or to lend more money than they have in their deposit, right? For example, let's say collectively we put $1 million in the bank. I put 10,000, you put 100, someone else put 100. Collectively, we do all, and it's $1 million in one bank, right? But if the bank is allowed to lend $3 million, and then you decide to pull your 1 million out, then the bank has to default on the $2 million debt, right? In the state, the banks can do it up to 9 times. Fractional lending. We were talking about that just yesterday. That means if you put $1 million, the bank can actually loan an additional $9 million on top of the $1 million that you drop in, meaning you will have $10 million that the bank will lend, because the bank only makes its money from the interest from lending the money. All right. So you will lend the money. And then if you go out there to pull out your $1 million, then all the money that is on the market right now, it's not backed by anything. It's just it's just money made out of thin air. And that's why they cannot allow a bank run. Because if you allow the bank run, then you remove that real cash, and it's not backed by anything. And yeah, it's the same thing, right? If you want to buy a mortgage, you need to put at least 20%, maybe 5%, but you still need to put something. If you remove your let's say that you put 20% and you remove it right away, then the only money that is left in the game is technically the bank's money, right? You still need some equity in there before you can take some money out. But that's the concept, guys. That's the concept of a bank run. But we're going to dive deeper into it later, guys. Let me see. Let me go through the comments very quick. I am a Red Seal mechanic, automotive. Had to do journalism because the mainstream dropped the ball. Absolutely, They were dropping the balls because they're in bed with the government, guys. And it's like that everywhere. They're in bed. There are the lapdogs of the government. They're not going to give you the real news. They'll even mischaracterize what's going on and tell them and to say that it's violent, right? I think there was this picture going on viral where someone who's been hired by the government as a cameraman was was in the crowd actually putting some racist comments and comments that to make it look bad, right? But it was someone that was previously hired by the government. Like it's you know uh, is that what's really going on? If you have a very small percentage of people doing that, does that mean the entire thing is a bad thing? Not really, right? But shout out to you for your content. I'm happy you pumping those contents out there, man. Clyde, do something. What you are describing is called regime uncertainty. It happens in the stock market as well. It's in the stock market too when countries turn into dictatorship. Common phenomena in the third world. Wow. Okay, I didn't even know that countries in the third world do that with the stock market as well. Crazy, man. Because if you want to join in, by the way, you can check your IG message. I sent you a link where you can join in. We can have a discussion about that too. Investors don't trust that their assets won't be taken by the state at will without lawful order. Exactly, exactly. That's why a bank run happens. And now it's you can even see that the Freedom Convoy is purposely trying to do a bank run to kind of destabilize financial and economy. It's Trudeau, it's the prime minister doing it on his own. He was the one who said, "Hey, we cannot go after anything in the banks," right? He's going after anyone who's contributing to this freedom convoy, who's supporting the freedom convoy in free will, and saying that, hey, if you are participating and helping in any way, you are also a target, right? And then we can go after your money, whether it's in crypto or in a bank. Like, what do you expect? Oh man, what a guy, man. What a guy. Don't worry about it. Alright, alright, alright. Let me see. Fractional reserve banking make it so that the bank will only have to hold less than 10%. I thought it was 10%, but less than 10% of their assets. Absolutely. Which is why a bank run is a big problem. Because why? If you try to take that less than 10% number, it's crazy. There is nothing left in the bank, and they will have to default of their right? Because they're lending that money. They would have to default of that loan, and that's not good. They would be going bankrupt, right? Unfortunately, CDIC, Canadian Deposit Insurance Corporation, will only cover up to $5,000 to depositors. Wow, it used to be bigger. It used to be more than that. Was it 20,000 like a couple years ago? Wait, man, come in, come in. I sent you the link on Instagram, man. Come in and join in. Let's have this conversation because this is big, man. Unfortunately, the CDIC, Canadian Deposit Insurance Corporation, will only cover up to 5,000 to depositors. If a bank goes down from a bank run, the top dogs get out first. Everyone else gets shafted. Mm, mm. Wow. Only $5,000 get covered. It used to be bigger than this. I remember in 2016, I was thinking of if I had a YouTube channel, I would have made a video about it. And I remember Trudeau was making this, and I remember it was maybe 100,000 or it was a lot bigger than that. Not it was maybe that's recent. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. But let me go back to this, guys. So the GoFundMe started, right? There is the honk honk holder who had the big cryptocurrencies, and then they started down. As you saw, the RCMP is asking exchanges to block those wallets, right? But then something else happened too in this convoy is a lot of people in the states are supporting what's going on. The states are very deep in when it comes to freedom. And then they started this. Actually, I have page on Wikipedia. This is a Christian Give Send Go is a Christian crowdfunding page or website founded in 2014, but basically lately it's been going viral because of the freedom convoy, right? The website was founded as a response to GoFundMe removing controversial campaign, right? That's why it was started in 2014, and this is definitely one of them. Since its founding, this site has received increased traffic following the removal of the campaign of other crowdfunding website. As a result, gained a reputation for facilitating the funding of far right activists and extreme group, right? That's what they would say. But hey, in the Freedom Convoy, in this case, I wouldn't call that a far right in any way. I would say many people that are actually took the jabs are still supporting that as well because it's really an attack on freedom, right? Now, this is the page, sorry, this is the page that we are going through right now. This is the page for the Freedom Convoy. As a response to the GoFundMe, the people move it right there. And yesterday, guys, it was like barely a million. like maybe 2 days ago, like it was barely a million. Now it's over $9.6 million. And that was like before let me refresh it to see if that number goes more. Because $9.6 million, guys, in a very short amount of time, and their goal is 16 million US dollars, so even more money than before. And we'll see if they get there and if the convoy will be able to get that money. But the reason why the money got blown up so fast in such a short amount of time, it's because of a damn hacker. Someone tried to hack this website and expose everyone who made a donation on this website. And that's what you can see in this article right here. Canada Freedom Convoy gives Send Go demand FBI probe hackers allege highly coordinated political doxing. Right now, the person who actually hacked this is actually going on TikTok, go and mentioning that, hey, this I'm the guy who did it, and that's the guy right here, Aubrey Cottle is actually a Canadian hacker as well, a computer security researcher. He has been employed by governments before to understand the hacking and cybersecurity before. So whether it was hired by government in this case or not, this is we don't know. But he has a history of working with governments and help them with cybersecurity. And basically, he's coming out there saying that hey, he was the one who hacked the Give Send Go and basically dox a lot of people. And doxing simply means that putting their private information out there, like their email and their full name, because they donated on this website, right? This website right here. Now, you would think that would stop a lot of people, but that actually backfired. More people decided, you know what? You're really going to go after my freedom like that? I'm going to put my name in there. I don't care if it's docs. I'm going to put the money there and redonate and donate and donate even more. All right. So this is what happened. And this is why in a very short amount of time, that money just skyrocketed like crazy, almost $10 million US dollars for the Freedom Convoy. And it's just a matter of time before it meets the goal. But we'll see what's going on, guys. We'll see how it happens. But hey, you have that on top of the what's happening with the government. And all that is the reason why people are doing the bank run. It's first, they don't trust the financial services available to them anymore. They cannot express their freedom. They feel attacked. And a lot of that too is some people do know how the bank works, and they're purposely going to go after the banks as a way to retaliate from what's going on. So there is a mix of everything. There is a mix of people are not trustworthy of the banks anymore, just like Mr. Clyde do something mentioned earlier. And some people are actually doing it too because they're purposely going after the bank as a way to protest. And there is nothing that hurts governments and the banks more when you go out there and you do a bank run. Nothing. So to be honest, guys, the bank run will not be successful. The only way you would be successful if you try to do it for months, right? But every time you try to do it so often, it will really slow it down, and, people will really like they won't let it go through because of exactly what's going on. They are allowed to lend less than 10%. Shout out to Clyde do something. They're allowed to do less than 10% to lend that money and generate billions of dollars. I really appreciate the invest. I have to put my kids to bed in a few minutes. Understood. No worries. No worries. I know, no pressure right there. If we're still live later, you can join in. If not, it's okay. Maybe another time. Hopefully, I can catch you for a conversation will tune in one of your streams. Yeah, no worries. We can do that any other time. All right, guys. So this is what's going on, guys. This is the wrap up of what's going on. And bank runs, man, bank runs are serious. And it's not in modern times, especially in the Western societies, you do not hear this happen. Mostly things like this happens in third world countries, in dictatorship. Actually, yes, I think Mr. Clyde do something did mention that too. That's what you hear bank runs. You don't normally hear bank run in, at least in our modern time, right? Back in the days, it's a different story. But in the modern times, you don't see that going on. So for this to be happening now, right, in 2022, with technologies like blockchains, people are now, that's going to wake up more and more people on why you need to be sovereign in your own money, right? And even though the RCMP can seize exchanges, we actually did an interview with a hacker. Well, he's not officially an hacker, but he has a lot of experience as a hacker. For those who've watched this live, you guys know exactly what I'm saying. Now I put this video on my Patreon because this guy did expose some stuff in our life for his own good. I decided to pull this video out of YouTube because let's just say it's for his own good. It's not easy. It's not good that he put this information out there, but only to say that, guys, the information that he did share with us is the governments can have their ways in any crypto companies, especially stable coins, companies that are putting themselves out there publicly in the States, in Canada. The centralized cryptocurrency exchange, they have to comply to a certain level to a government. And right now they can offer a government a backdoor to go out there to freeze any accounts that does not meet the requirements. Right now the requirements is do not protest for your freedom by standing in front of parliament honking, go home. That's basically what they're saying, and let us do our jobs, and their jobs is to apply that mandate everywhere, right? Continue to lock down, whether the case go up or down. Businesses are shut down anyway. Like the last years, guys, the last 2 years, a lot of business went bankrupt. If you had a gym business, you're most likely under, right? Because gym has been one of the industry that has been hit the most. Restaurants have been hitting very hard. These are the small mom and pop shops been hitting a lot. Imagine some people invest their mortgage, right? Took a finance on their mortgage, put it in their business, boom, they cannot operate anymore. And there's many business like that. And imagine the toll. We talked earlier about the depression rise. The media is completely quiet in all that, right? So to recap, guys, because I didn't want to stay too long, I'm going to close the stream. But to recap, guys, what does the banks, the media, right, the government does not want you to know? I think Mr. Clyde do something said it best. Is just like we mentioned earlier on the definition, is the bank has a financial obligation. That financial obligation is to secure your money to their vaults and to return that money to you whenever you ask for it. But in reality, it's not the way that it operates. The minute that you put your money into the bank, you do not own that money anymore. That's what the media, the government, and the banks do not want you to know. They do not want you to know that the minute you put that money in the bank, you no longer have sovereignty over it. It's no longer yours. It's only yours if they want you to. All right? Because the government can pass an act and call you a terrorist for trying to get your money back. If 100 of us, 1,000 of us go and pull our money back, that could actually cause a national crisis for national security. They could say, hey, you know what? You're not going to be able to do it. And from that perspective, anyone else who's trying to get their own money, right? Their own money in the bank will be considered as a threat to national security. That's how loose those terms can be thrown around there. And if you don't understand this now, you better take notes on what's happening in Canada right now, because even if you are in the States, hey, take notes, because I think this is coming for any country in the Western world by the end of this decade. We're going to have systems like that where government will make it clear on who rules, and it won't be you. All right. So, what they don't want you to know is the minute you give the money to the bank, it's no longer yours. It's only yours if they're willing to give it to you. All right. And from that perspective, guys, I have links in the descriptions of other platforms you can go. Does that are these completely safe? Absolutely not. At this point, only DeFi is the safest route. And even DeFi, governments can try to go after it, right? But it's better than the banks, because first, crypto.com is based in Hong Kong right now. So the Canadian jurisdiction doesn't really are limited to what they can do. They can kind of stop the use of fiat currency, but you can also use a stable coin. You can use Bitcoin. You can use other things to pay off your bills without actually going to fiat, right? I spent an entire year using crypto.com to pay all my bills, cell phone, right? My rent to my office. I converted my crypto. As soon as it comes to my bank, I put it to my crypto.com wallet, and then my crypto.com wallet, I basically put that in my card, buy some cryptos if I want to, and then my card, I have a credit card that I got from crypto.com. I made tons of video about that. Actually, the only videos that I made that went to 1K or and 6K was about crypto.com. So maybe I should make another video about that. But yes, guys, I've been using this product for a year. I definitely recommend it. It's user friendly enough. You'll get used to it. If you follow my videos on how to use it, it's perfect. You'll get the hang of it. And at the very least, set up another system other than the bank. At the very least, whether it's crypto.com, whether it's something else, you can use my link. Back in the days, I used to have a referral link, and it used to work, but now I don't think it works anymore. But just go on your app store, search for crypto.com, and download the app and set up an account there. Send some money there just to have it ready, guys. And even if it's the free credit cards, ask for it and wait for it, right? Because at least that is a way that you can still purchase goods and services with fiat or with cryptos without going to a bank, right? Without going to the major banks in your country, like the five major banks that were blocking people's fund today. All right. So definitely, I would definitely encourage you look into other platforms. If you don't want to go to crypto.com, that's fine. Just find another way to do it. But definitely have another mean to pay your stuff, to pay for groceries, to pay for anything that you want without having to go to the bank. And of course, you want to consider cash, right? In a situation like that, having a percentage of your emergency fund in cash is not a bad idea, because at this point, having your money in your like under your wallet is safer than having it in the bank. Because if the bank at any time can do an outage, a lockdown, freeze in everyone's account so that the bank run doesn't happen, you don't want that to happen in a day that you're really hungry and you have to go to groceries and you just can't do it because the bank is frozen everything, right? You don't want that to happen. Therefore, take measures now. You see what happened Learn from history on why, on what third world countries are doing, because inflation numbers are not even up yet, and we're already having madness happening in deep streets. So be ready, be careful, be ready, and make sure you are prepared. Right, there's a lot to learn from this. Let me go to the comment section very quick. um See, it's really not hard to get around all of our blocks with cryptos, around all sorry it's really not hard to get around all of blocks with cryptos. They can stop a financial institution from exchanging with a particular wallet. Yes, yes. And oh man, I got some if you had seen that stream we had with the hacker here, they can do much more than that. Let's just leave it at that. They can do much more than that, but decentralized finance is a serious threat to the current system right now. And the thing is, you always have to convert to fiat if you want to buy, unless we build an economy where we don't rely on fiat anymore, we rely on crypto. So if we can have that crypto, and one thing that can help is decentralized cryptocurrencies, or maybe something like that is backed by gold, like Pax. Pax Gold could be a good alternative to fiat, but anything that is backed by gold, guys, it is not. It is definitely not something you want. You want to, you want to pay. Like if it's backed by nothing, like fiat currency, you better be ready for it, man. Make sure there's a damn bot I can't remove. Let me block this guy. All right. All right, let me go to that question very quick. So yeah, they can start. Yeah, we went over that. But anyone can move the coins to another wallet on a different platform. Crypto is hard to stop. Crypto is hard to stop, but if they really want you, trust me. Trust me. If you want to learn more about that, you can check it on my Patreon, because that's where I have it. But man, there is this hacker. He reveals so much, so many things. He actually showed us in the codes the back door the government had to stable coins like USDC. So and a lot of other stable coins as well. All right. So just to leave it at that. All right. I won't say too much, but yeah. Let's see. All right, my man. It's great to meet you. Glad to I was able to catch your live stream. Have a good night. Stay safe. Cheers. Thank you very much for being here, man. And hopefully we can connect again. And yes, thank you for your work, man. I say thank you for your service in the with the videos that you're pumping, because they're keeping people informed. You can't really go to the media these days to get information, because they're really not giving you everything, guys. They're shaping a narrative that is not necessarily true, that favors the government as opposed to the people, right? Whenever we get to that scenarios, it's as people we have to stay informed by other means, and so and with information you can take proper actions. But the 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 bank run, guys, is a good move right now, but it could also accelerate the government from imposing CBDCs. Now, what is a CBDC? It's a central bank digital currency, right? This is a currency that they can enforce on people. Instead of using the Canadian dollar or the US dollar, you're using a cryptocurrency based a fiat currency based on crypto that is backed, by nothing. But because it's on a blockchain, because it's all online and all that, it will transfer fast. That's the good news. The bad news is, while the Emergency Act, they will no longer need the RCMP will no longer need to ask a crypto exchange to halt trading. They can do it themselves. That's what a CBDC will allow the government to do. So again, right now they're only going after convoy protest. But yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? This week, this current week, all right, this current week, the Justin Trudeau said anyone who supports the truck convoy will face consequences. That's what he said. It's kind of like the same thing as George Bush said, if you're not with me, you're against me. Okay, so anyone who supports the truck convoy will face some problems. So that means if you had a CBDC and he said that, he basically could go and cancel your wallet for a month, right? Just like YouTube can strike your channel for 3 weeks, for a week, right? So you could do that for a week too. If that's the week you need to feed your kids, right? If that's the week you need to buy tools, you buy food, groceries, it's it's really going to get people to comply on a different level. And this is dictatorship in a way. This is a technocratic dictatorship, and it's not democracy anymore. That's why I made this video earlier today called The End of Democracy. And that's what we're hitting now. And now that they're seeing the trouble they're having controlling the crowd, then there might be more incentivized to push the CBDCs that will give them more control on how people use the currency. And if that happens, then government like Canada will have ultimate control, sovereignty over your money. And you've already see what they're doing right now just because they don't agree with the protests. Imagine what they will be doing when they have ultimate power. You know, ultimate power corrupts a lot. So just food for thoughts. With that said, remember what I said earlier? Make sure you work on another alternative so that you can pay your bills outside of the banks. If you are in Canada, this is a must. Check out crypto.com. That would be my recommendation. I made some videos also on it to learn how to use it. If you don't want to use crypto.com, because they also have a Visa card that you can use to pay online, to pay at the groceries, to extract cash on any ATM as well. If you don't want to do it that way, find another alternative methods, but find something to pay your bills, and don't affect your credit. In any case, this scenario would go nuts, then you're covered. All right. With that said, we'll talk on the next video. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your support, everyone. Thank you for everyone who contribute on the chat, and we'll stay connected till the next episode.
Hey, hey. It's all about wealth engineering. Might be something that you're not used to. It's okay, cause I'm here to introduce you to concepts. Time to grow and make big moves. All about crypto, come see. Stocks and business, yes indeed. Got the info that you need. Hosted by my homie JC.